There is a strange path set aside for a certain kind of woman. A path that does not follow the straight lines the modern world is obsessed with. When you look at the usual story of success, it feels like a launch sequence. Big energy in the 20s. Recognition and status in the 30s. Authority and control in the 40s. We are taught very early on that life is a race, and the women who win are the ones who move fast, speak loud, and arrive early. But some women do not move like that. They hesitate. They pause. They lose their footing. They spend the first half of their lives quietly confused, watching other women surge ahead while they feel weighed down by something invisible but heavy. They feel like observers in their own story. Capable, intelligent, full of something unnamed, yet unable to make it show up on command. If this feels familiar, if you have carried the quiet pain of unrealized potential, then your life is not broken. It is simply unfolding on a different timeline. Calling you a late bloomer barely scratches the surface. You are not slow. You are not behind. You are not failing to keep up. You are built in a way that does not allow for early peaks without serious damage. For women like you, early success is not a gift. It is a trap. Life moves in seasons, and those seasons ask different things from us at different times. In the early years, the pressure is outward. Build a life. Build an image. Build security. Learn how to fit into systems that already exist. Learn how to be palatable, productive, acceptable. For many women, this works well enough. They find a role that suits them. They adapt. They are rewarded for fitting in. Over time, the role becomes the self. But for women who are wired for depth, this stage often feels unbearable. You were never comfortable wearing a mask for long. You wanted meaning where the world offered performance. You wanted truth where the world offered approval. You wanted connection where the world offered convenience. And every time you tried to play along, something inside you resisted. Careers lost their meaning too quickly. Relationships felt empty even when they looked fine from the outside. You felt friction everywhere. A constant exhaustion from pretending to be someone simpler than you are. You watched women who seemed content with surface, level wins, and wondered how that was enough for them. You wondered what you were missing. You wondered if something was wrong with you. Nothing was wrong. The truth is, if you had succeeded too early, you would have locked yourself into a life that could not hold you. You would have built stability on a version of yourself that was incomplete. You would have learned how to function, but not how to live. The resistance you felt was not weakness. It was protection. Your system refused to settle for something that would have shrunk you. The years that felt stalled were not empty years. They were formative years. Years spent observing instead of rushing, feeling instead of performing, processing pain instead of bypassing it. You were learning how people work, how power works, how emotions move under the surface. You were developing an inner structure that takes time, silence, and struggle to form. We live in a culture obsessed with youth, speed, and visible potential. We celebrate quick growth and instant results. But nature has never followed that clock. Some things grow fast and fade fast. Other things take decades to anchor themselves before they rise. You were not growing grass. You were growing roots. Those first 40 or so years were not wasted. They were foundational. You were building the internal strength required to hold something much larger later on. Many women who rise early never develop this depth because they are too busy maintaining momentum to look inward. They learn how to perform well, but not how to integrate who they truly are. Then something shifts. For many women, midlife feels like a collapse. They look around and realize the life they built no longer fits. The energy that once pushed them forward fades. Panic sets in. They try to reclaim youth, excitement, relevance. They chase stimulation because meaning feels out of reach. But for women like you, this period is not a collapse. It is an arrival. This is the moment your life has been quietly preparing for. the outward pressure eases. The need to compete softens. The noise of comparison loses its grip. And suddenly, the qualities that once made life harder become your greatest strengths. Your empathy, your insight, your patience, your ability to sit with complexity, your comfort with silence, your understanding of human behavior beyond words. The early part of life belongs to those who run fast. The later part belongs to those who see clearly. To step into this phase, though, you have to let go of old measuring sticks. You have to stop judging your life by timelines that were never designed for you. You have to stop comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. Many early peaks are followed by long declines. Your path is built for steady ascent, one that begins only after you have enough weight, enough self-knowledge, enough truth to sustain it. If you feel tired right now, unmotivated, or strangely restless, it does not mean you are done. It means you are ready. It feels uncomfortable because you are standing between who you were taught to be and who you are meant to become. You do not need permission to begin. You do not need validation from a world that never understood your pace. The power you have been waiting for has been with you the entire time. You just stopped running long enough to learn how to use it. If you recognize yourself in what I've been describing, if this slow, delayed unfolding feels familiar deep in your body, then you are not alone. You are already part of a quiet, scattered circle of women who have lived more than most people can see. Women who are done apologizing for their depth. Women who are tired of shrinking. When you choose to stay here, when you choose to listen and engage, you are not just following a channel. You are making a quiet promise to yourself. You are choosing meaning over distraction. You are choosing truth over noise. And you are signaling that you are ready for the real work. The real work of this phase of life. The reason you rise now, while others slowly fade, is about bringing together the parts of yourself you once had to hide. In the first half of life, you worked hard to be acceptable, to be liked, to be safe, to be chosen. And in that process, you pushed away pieces of yourself that felt too much, your anger, your hunger, your ambition, your sharp edges, your unconventional desires. You tucked them away because they didn't fit the role you thought you had to play to survive. But a life lived only on the surface is fragile. It looks good for a while, but it cracks under pressure. This is why so many early achievers become stiff, defensive, and small as they age. They spend so much energy protecting the image they built that there is no room left to grow. They slowly turn into a version of themselves that feels hollow. You are different. You didn't glide through life. You wandered. You struggled. You questioned. You spent time alone. You sat with discomfort. You faced disappointment, grief, and self-doubt. And whether you wanted to or not, those experiences forced you to meet parts of yourself most people never look at. You learned that you are not perfect. You learned that you carry light and darkness. And that awareness is not a weakness. It is strength. When a woman crosses midlife having accepted her full nature, she becomes powerful in a quiet way. She stops trying to be nice and starts choosing to be kind. And those are not the same thing. Niceness is fear. It is the urge to be approved of. Kindness comes from self-respect. It comes from having boundaries. It comes from knowing who you are and standing there anyway. As you stop pushing parts of yourself down, you reclaim energy. The energy you once used to suppress your anger becomes fuel to protect your limits. The energy you once hid as ambition becomes the drive to build something meaningful. And because this power is shaped by experience, doesn't burn everything around it. It creates, it stabilizes, it leads. This is why so much meaningful work is created later in life. Not because youth lacks talent, but because maturity brings integration. During your wandering years, you gathered skills that didn't seem to connect. You explored different interests. You worked in different roles. You read widely. You learned things that didn't fit into one neat label. You may have felt scattered, like you were behind, like you couldn't settle on one path. But now those pieces begin to come together. You start to see that your strength is not in one narrow specialty. It is in your ability to connect ideas, people, and worlds. You see patterns. You understand context. You hold complexity without panic. While others learned how to zoom in, you learned how to step back. And that matters now. We are entering a time where complexity is everywhere. Technology is accelerating. Systems are unstable. Simple answers no longer work. The most valuable people in this environment are not the loudest or fastest. They are the ones who can see the whole picture, who can connect the practical with the human, the inner world with the outer one. This is the natural territory of women who bloomed later. Your rise after midlife is also more stable because it is no longer built on approval. When you are young, your identity depends on praise, titles, and status. Take those away and everything collapses. But what you build now stands on something internal. You do the work because it matters, because it feels true, not because you need an audience. Ironically, that independence makes you magnetic. People sense desperation immediately. They also sense grounded confidence. When you stop asking the world to define you, the world starts paying attention. You become steady in the middle of uncertainty. You become someone others feel safe around. This is the role we've forgotten how to value. The mature woman, the steady presence, the one who doesn't perform wisdom but lives it. Our culture is full of adults chasing youth, authority figures acting like children, leaders driven by ego and fear. We are starving for women who are fully grown. When you stop hiding your age, when you treat your experience, your scars, and your survival as earned credentials, something shifts. You radiate calm competence. You don't chase, you don't force. You stand where you are, fully present, like a lighthouse, not running after ships, just visible. Just steady. That stillness is not weakness, it is strength under control. It is the ability to hold pressure without collapsing. All those years you thought were wasted were training you, teaching you how to endure loneliness, how to rebuild, how to begin again. These are resilience muscles, and most people never develop them. Those who won early often haven't been tested. When life finally hits them hard, they fall apart. You don't. You've already been broken and rebuilt yourself more than once. You know the terrain. You are not afraid of falling. And only someone who isn't afraid of the fall can truly move forward freely. There is one danger that can still stop this ascent: the habit of waiting. After years of preparation, healing, studying, and reflecting, it's easy to stay in planning mode forever. You tell yourself you just need one more book, one more course, one more breakthrough. Then you'll be ready. That moment never arrives. Readiness is not a feeling, it's a choice. You don't step into this next phase by thinking more. You step into it by acting before you feel certain. The antidote to endless preparation is meaningful work, not frantic business, not chasing money or validation, but work that feels necessary, work that feels honest. This is not the work of proving yourself. It is the work of becoming yourself. Turning the weight of everything you've carried into something that shines. Your work in the second half of life has to be real. It has to live in the world, not just in your thoughts. You have to pull your intuition down from the sky and place it firmly on the ground. That might look like writing the book you have been carrying for years, building the business you once doubted yourself too much to start, guiding younger women who are where you once were, or creating something simple and alive with your hands. Whatever it is, it must exist outside your mind. And yes, that is frightening, especially for women who think deeply. Because reality is messy. In your head, your ideas are flawless. The moment you try to bring them into the world, they lose their shine, they hit resistance. They attract opinions. They invite judgment. But that resistance is not a sign to stop. It is the price of being real. Women who achieved early often fear failure because success became their identity. But you have already lived through disappointment. You have already felt what it means to fall short, to be overlooked, to start later than planned. And that has freed you. You can experiment. You can try things that are clumsy at first. You can allow your work to be bad before it becomes good. The perfectionism that once froze you has to be let go. Completion matters more than flawlessness. A finished, imperfect creation carries more power than a perfect idea that never leaves your mind. Something interesting happens when you finally commit to action. When what you believe inside begins to match what you do on the outside, life feels less hostile. The struggle eases. The endless pushing fades. Things begin to meet you halfway. The resistance you felt for years, the closed doors, the missed chances were not punishment. They were protection. You were being kept from paths that did not fit who you truly are. Now that you are stepping onto the path that matches you, doors begin to open. You cross paths with the right people at the right moment. Support appears when it is needed. Not because of magic, but because of alignment. You are no longer fighting yourself. You are moving with your own nature instead of against it. This alignment changes how you experience time. Earlier in life, time felt cruel. You felt behind. You watched others move faster, achieve sooner, collect titles while you were still becoming. But later, time becomes an ally. You understand that your slower unfolding was necessary. You were not wasting time. You were deepening. Growth was happening beneath the surface. Things that matter take time. Depth cannot be rushed. You did not arrive late. You arrived ready. There is also a deeper reason many women bloom later. Often, one woman in a family carries what others could not face. She feels more, questions more, struggles longer. She pauses the old patterns. She absorbs the fear, the silence, the limitation passed down through generations. Her delay is not weakness, it is work. She slows the line so something new can emerge. And when she finally steps forward, she is not just succeeding for herself. She is changing what comes after her. Her growth becomes a quiet repair. This understanding reshapes ambition. It is no longer about proving worth or collecting approval. It becomes responsibility. You are trusted with certain gifts for a reason. Your sensitivity, your insight, your creativity, your ability to see beneath the surface are not meant to be hidden or saved. They are meant to be used. Women who bloom later often carry a deep sense of service. You know pain, so you know how to help. You have been lost, so you know how to guide. Fulfillment comes when your focus shifts from getting to giving. But there is something you must guard as you step into this season. As you grow stronger and more whole, people will be drawn to your energy. Not all of them come with good intentions. Some people rely on others to supply what they refuse to generate within themselves. Earlier in life, your empathy may have made you give too much. You poured until you were empty. That cannot continue. Boundaries are not cruelty. They are protection. Your energy is now valuable. It fuels your work. You cannot afford to lose it to drama, guilt, or relationships that drain you. Being kind does not mean being available to everyone. Respect often requires the courage to disappoint. As you look ahead, do not look with fear. The idea that life declines after a certain age is a shallow story. For women like you, life sharpens. Confusion fades. Noise quiets. What remains is clarity. You know what matters. You no longer chase approval. You no longer need to be understood by people who refuse to see you. That is freedom. The tragedy would not be that you bloomed later. The tragedy would be hiding your growth because you are embarrassed by the timing. Do not hide what you have grown.